comments in the open section. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Food Truck 101 from beginner to winner. I am your host, Lauren Bell. I am the co-owner of Double Trouble Philly Cheesesteaks, and I own that business with my twin sister Lori and her husband Keith. So welcome. And joining us tonight and every Monday night, author extraordinaire, I will always call him. He is the founder and creator of this Facebook group, which today is almost 24,000 members the last time I checked. Wasn't quite at 24. So, and it's growing every day. Bill is the author of Food Truck 101 from beginner to winner. He has also written other great books, such as Putting the Cart Before the Dog and Taking It to the Street. He is also at the end of a new book that will come out real soon. So stay tuned for the release on the new book. Bill brings more than 45 years of experience to the industry. He has run large restaurant chains, food trucks, hot dog carts, you name it in the industry, he has done it. Bill and Melissa spend countless hours maintaining the integrity and the professionalism of this group. Please help me welcome to the platform tonight, Mr. Bill Moore.
Thank you so much, Lauren. I love hearing your introduction. I need to have that written out and put it on a plaque for my desk.
Oh, good, you just gave us an idea. That's awesome. Well, welcome, guys. I know some of you have been here with us before. There may be some new ones. Tonight, our topic of conversation is crisis management. Oh my God, who wants to manage a crisis, right? We all have them, and they're just inevitable. The crisis will come. How you handle them, how you prepare for them, makes the difference, right? So let's talk about some crisis management tonight. It's so funny when I think of crisis management, I get goosebumps because we have had everything happen from headed to an event to the truck won't start, to getting to an event and running out of propane, to getting to an event, starting off good, the sun is shining, to a storm comes through and we watch our inventory float down the street. We have seen it. We have seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. Getting there, set up, you have a line of people and your generator won't start. Why? Because you haven't checked the oil and there's a safety mechanism on the generator that will not allow it to crank if the oil is below level. Hello. Things that you learn as you go along. One thing I learned in this book, y'all, is that crisis is coming. It's coming. And how do you get through it? You only handle what you can control, right? You do what you can control and let life be life. And you apologize for those things that you need to apologize for. But other than that, you keep it moving. Bill, talk to us. Talk to us about crisis management because you have dealt with some issues, even having us call you in the middle going, oh my God, Bill, the fire won't start. So, Bill, talk to us. Give us some encouragement here, crisis management.
Well, there's always going to be challenges, no matter whether it's a little challenge like the generator won't start, the fire won't ignite. And those little challenges are something you just got to get used to and accustomed to because they are going to happen. There's also the bigger challenges, like the little question up there, what did you guys do during COVID? That's a big challenge because it took you out of your normal operation. What kind of things did y'all have to do during COVID? One of the biggest challenges that restaurants came into was all of a sudden they couldn't have people come inside and sit down and eat. So they had to change their method of operation. So you got to kind of be prepared for those kind of things. And I know that COVID hopefully is only a once a century kind of thing, but there's always crises that come up. Hurricanes. While it doesn't affect the whole country, it does affect a certain part of the country. And it affects it in ways that you don't really think about unless you've been through a hurricane. For example, I live on the panhandle of Florida. We get hurricanes relatively frequently. And when a hurricane comes through, you're not able to operate. But people that are even, 30 miles inland, it's just raining to them. It's no big deal. But a hurricane prevents you from operating. It makes you change what you're going to be doing. You have to secure the trailer. Food trailers are super susceptible to being blown over. It doesn't take much wind to blow one over. So you have to know what to do when those kind of things come up. And it's better to figure it out now when the weather's pretty than it is to walk outside and realize, oh man, that wind actually did blow my trailer over. So what should you do? You want to revisit any kind of health and safety policies that you have. The generator, for instance, that's a policy. We need to check the oil. It needs to be done frequently. We need to make sure that it's filled up with gasoline so we're not having to refill it in the middle of lunch or dinner service, because that's super dangerous. So that's a little inconvenience, but it's still something you got to be able to handle. It's a little crisis that you got to be able to handle. If a hurricane's coming through, what's going to be your attendance policies? If you expect people to show up no matter what, when a hurricane's going through, they can't get on the roads and drive. And it's on the other side of the hurricane too. Even after it's passed, are the roads passable? Can people get to work? COVID, we were all told to stay home for 2 weeks. So far, it's been about 2 years. But the point is, you've got to be prepared and react to whatever's going on. And as much as possible, have that plan already in place. One of the things you've got to do when you know that something's coming, like a hurricane, you want to analyze your cash flow and see, are you financially prepared to be closed down for 2 or 3 days? Or if you want to pick up and go help an area that's been hit by a hurricane, how do we get there? Do we have enough money to go help those folks out? And you got to remember that if you go into an area that's been hit by a tornado or a hurricane, you got to bring your own supplies with you, because you're not going to be able to go find gasoline stations that are just pumping gasoline or propane stations to fill up. You're going to have to bring that kind of stuff with you. So you need to be thinking about the overall operation. If you've got an emergency coming, like again, a hurricane or any kind of weather event, it could even be snowstorms, you want to check your business insurance policy to make sure that you have the right kind of coverage. Because there's a lot of people that, especially when it comes to hurricanes, their equipment will get damaged from water. And you think, oh, it's no big deal, I'm covered with flood insurance. Except most insurance policies don't cover storm surge as a flood. Storm surge is a whole different animal in and of itself. So you got to check your business policies to make sure that if you have coverage and what it does cover, so that you're not surprised when there's a claim you have to file and they say, nope, you don't have the right insurance. And then you want to make sure that during the emergency, whatever it is, again, a snowstorm, we're being closed down because of COVID, there's a hurricane, you're monitoring the news and the weather, and you're looking for policy changes, things that are going to impact you. In hurricane situations, especially when you live on the coast, there are things that we just get accustomed to. We have a lot of bridges that lead over from the mainland to the islands. And the bridges, they will not let you go across those bridges when the wind speed gets a sustained 39 miles an hour. You just cannot travel over those bridges. So it doesn't sound like it's a big deal until you're on the wrong side of that bridge. So what if you're on the wrong side of the bridge with your trailer or your food truck? So you got to monitor what's going on and know, well, now's the time to leave. I need to get the heck out of here. You've also got to anticipate everybody else is going to do exactly like you did. They're going to wait till the last possible second. You don't want to be caught out in traffic while there's a hurricane bearing down on you. I've actually done that before. It is not a lot of fun. As I went to bed, there was Opal was coming through. Opal was a category 4. When we went to sleep, it was category 2, which is no big deal. At least to people in Florida, no big deal, category 2. Category 4, on the other hand, is a big deal. So when we woke up and we're checking the news and stuff, and they're going, Category 4, y'all need to leave. We needed to leave. We lived at that point about 2 miles off the bay. So that meant we were definitely within storm surge reach. We did not want to be in our house if a storm continued to come across in the direction it was coming. So we get on the interstate, head towards the interstate, actually. They have all the lanes going north because that's what they do. So you have a 4-lane highway where you have 2 north and 2 south. When we have a hurricane, they put them all one direction. So everybody was headed north. So all the lanes were back to back cars, bumper to bumper, solid all the way to I-10. What should have taken us 20 minutes took us 3 hours. And then once we got to I-10, it was another 3 hours to go, about 2 exits. So we're in a car for 6 hours with our young daughter, and a hurricane is coming towards us. And we're hearing the news reports of, tornado's been spotted here, and the hurricane winds are up to, 120 mile an hour. And you don't want to be in a car. You don't want to be towing your trailer when wind speeds get up even above 70 or 80, because it will, again, tip your trailer over. So monitor the news. Oh, that was fast. All right. Some things you can do when those tragedies do hit and you've gotten through them, or they're still going on. What can you do to change how you operate to get some cash flow going? Because this becomes really important if you're limited on how you can operate, if you can't get enough food, can't get enough gasoline to run the generator. We've actually had that happen before, where we couldn't run the generators because there was no gasoline to be found in our area. I was lucky enough that some of the people that lived outside our area were able to bring us gasoline. They brought us 25-gallon containers of gasoline in the back of their pickup. But you got to think about things like, should we just do takeout, delivery, even from a food truck standpoint? Don't have people coming to your location, but hey, place an online order and we will bring it to you. You can sell gift cards. At least that generates some cash because they're paying you money for the gift card today, but they don't need the food today. They're going to be using that in the future. So that generates some cash flow for your business. You can adjust your menu. You can adjust your hours. One of the hurricanes that came through when Melissa was pregnant with our last child, Christopher, she was running a pizza restaurant and had to, she went and opened, because she's stubborn. She went and opened the pizza place and had to only sell pepperoni pizza because she couldn't keep up with anything else. So if you called the pizza place, you were only getting a pepperoni pizza, but at least she was able to serve people, because the area that we were in, a lot of folks had no power and they were really happy to be able to get a hot pizza. So adjust your menu if you need to, adjust your hours of operation, open later, stay open late if you need to, close early if you have to, but make those adjustments that make sense to your staff and your food. You can seek non-traditional locations and setups. And what I mean by that is, before COVID, it was super rare for a food truck to go to a subdivision because subdivisions didn't want you. They just, no, we don't want you, get off our property. We don't want you in our subdivision. We don't want you at the apartment complexes. But as soon as COVID hits and now nobody can get out, but hey, please come sell your food to our people. So now food trucks are allowed in subdivisions. They're allowed in apartment complexes because that's become the normal way to do business. So you look for those non-traditional ways to set up places to set up your business and then be able to sell. And you never know what a storm does. Storms will change traffic patterns. One of the storms that I mentioned a little bit ago, Hurricane Opal, actually destroyed part of Highway 98, which is a coastal road in Florida. And it changed the traffic pattern for a little over 2 months. Going from Fort Walton Beach to Destin, Florida was impossible unless you went around the Mid-Bay Bridge. So somebody that lived in Fort Walton was driving to Destin before the hurricane would take them 8 to 10 minutes on a light traffic day. After the hurricane, because the road was totally destroyed, they had to drive around the bay, which made the trip be about 2.5 hours. And everybody had to make that trip that worked in Destin. So people from Fort Walton and Niceville are driving around the bay to one bridge to go across to Destin. And it was like that for about, I know it was 60 days, and it may have been close to 90 days. But the restaurants that were along that path suddenly were busy. So you got your hand up, Lauren. What do you want to comment on?
Oh, sorry. Give me 2 minutes. Come back to me in 2 minutes.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
No problem. You want to make sure that if you do make changes to your normal operation, that you're communicating with your guests. They've got to know what you're doing. Because if you're not communicating with them, they may assume that something has happened to you and you're no longer in business. So let them know, hey, yes, we survived whatever catastrophe has gone on. And this is what we're going to be doing. Let them know what you're doing. Because if you keep them informed, they will continue to support you. You want to advertise and promote, especially when you get on the other side of whatever is going on. Let people know, again, hey, here we're back. We're here. This is exactly where we're located. We're going to advertise. We're going to promote. We're going to do discounts. We're going to get people coming back to our business. So don't be afraid to do the discounts, to do the coupons, to do whatever it takes to get people coming back and getting their life back to normal, because that's what you want to look at, getting your life back to normal. I want to share one little story with you. When I worked in the Virgin Islands, Virgin Islands, they get hit with hurricanes a lot more frequently than you would realize. One of the hurricanes came through and just devastated the island. It actually sat over St. Thomas and didn't move, just sat there. And that is scary, to go hours upon hours with 100, 110 mile an hour winds and in constant rain. It just wears on your nerves. So one of the things that happened once the hurricane finally blew through, we're out of power. The restaurant that I had its own generator. We had a big generator, and we had enough fuel in it to allow us to run for several days. So we could operate. But the question was, how do we get people to come work in the restaurant and help keep us going? And we drove around to all of our employees, and the ones that survived, they didn't have their houses damaged, we would go help them clean up. And then we'd take that employee and go to the next house. And now we got 2 people helping clean up. Then we got 3 people helping clean up. And the helping each other clean up built that teamwork. So when we went back to the restaurant, we could feel good about what we've done for each other and then help to serve the community. So it's all in how you look at the catastrophes, because they're going to happen. Just be prepared for them. Are you ready now, Lauren?
Yes. No. I was just interjecting that, not all crisis, a crisis to me is defined as unexpected activity, something that you're not expecting, right? At a time when you don't expect it. And so, yes, that could be a storm. That could also be, these surprise health inspections. So let me tell you this, talking about crisis, this past Saturday night, we got a knock at the window. Mark and I had just left. Lori, Shelley, and Keith were there, and Lily was doing water ice. Man comes up to the window and says, "Hey, health inspection. Do you mind if I get up on your truck?" Y'all, this is Saturday night at 8:45. Who was expecting a health inspector? Now, mind you, for average people, when the health inspector comes, they're really a lot of times nervous. You don't know why they're there. There's not really a special event, although the place is busy. However, so they come up, they get on. But one of the things about being in control and practicing with integrity is that when those surprise inspections do come, they're not going to find a whole lot out of order. because you're used to practicing with integrity. You're used to doing things correctly. So they got on. They were really overly concerned about the temp. So they checked the refrigerator and making sure we had water. They never asked for a commissary ticket. Had some little small talk with Lori and wanted to know where our cleaning items were. And when she showed him, he seemed like he was very relieved that it was in the right spot, away from the food, off of the counters, that type of thing. So, crisis, guys, will come in all forms. It won't just be that hurricane or that storm. Even the storm that we got caught in that day, it wasn't a hurricane. It was just a thunderstorm. It was a thunderstorm, and it could rain on one side of Texas and not the other, real quick. So crisis will come in all forms. And how do you prepare in your mind? Don't ever, and I'm gonna shut up, I'm gonna say this, don't ever do things well enough to just get by. Because what's gonna happen is there's gonna be those down times when you're not expecting it, that you're gonna get it, and everybody's gonna be practicing it wrong. If you practice something wrong, you have something to worry about, because you're gonna get it wrong every time. The truck next to us was warned that if the man came back and he didn't have a commissary ticket, that was his third strike. He never even asked us for one. Crisis comes in different forms. And so I just want you guys to get in mind that when we're telling you, sharing with you guys some of these rules and regs, it's not just because this stuff will come to life when you least expect it. And we got to be ready. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm going to shut up now. But that was just Saturday night, so that was fresh on my brain.
Well, I'm glad you shared that, because it helps bring up another point that I want to kind of piggyback on that. Whenever someone comes up to your window and says, "Hey, I'm a health inspector," the very first response should be, "Can I see some credentials?" Because especially with it being Saturday night, and then that
he had a big star on his chest. He had a big badge on his neck.
Did it have his picture?
It had his picture, and we know him from seeing him before.
Okay.
So Lori was able to identify him, and we knew who he was. Okay. We knew him as a health inspector, but we were not expecting him Saturday night.
Yeah, that is unusual. What that tells me is somebody's had an issue with a food truck somewhere in y'all's area, and he just went ahead and said, "Okay, I'm going to get some overtime and inspect a bunch." But the point being, if you're not familiar with the health inspectors and you don't know them on site, ask for credentials. Can I see your identification? I want to know you're really a health inspector. Because one of the ploys that they do, especially in restaurants now, is they'll look like they're a repairman, and they'll come in and say, "Hey, the home office sent me, I got to repair, something." Chances are whatever they say they're going to repair probably needs repair, because, in the summertime, ACs don't work. So it's real easy to come in and say, "Hey, I'm supposed to fix your AC." What you want to do is verify. "Well, we don't have a home office." "No, my boss is right here. I'm the boss. I didn't call you. Get off my truck." But you want to verify people. You want to make sure that you're not putting yourself in bigger danger by saying, "Oh yeah, come on in. Not a problem." Because the health inspector is a real easy one to mimic, because they don't have a uniform in most cases. In Florida makes them wear a uniform, but I very rarely see them wear it. So anyway, the point with all of this is to be prepared for the contingencies, what's going to happen. All right, next week, we're going to be talking about cash flow. That should be a big one for everybody, because I want everybody to be as profitable as they possibly can. I want to explain the cash flow of your business. A lot of people don't understand what cash flow means. And of course, please leave a review if you haven't already done so on Amazon.